Hey, it's Kelly. Welcome back to my channel where we talk all about how to glow from the inside out. And today we're talking March favorites. This is the video where I share with you all the skincare and beauty products that made a big impression on me this month. So if you're so ready, give the video a big thumbs up and let's get started. First up, Tower28 SOS Rescue Spray. Now, this is a product I didn't know that I needed in my life because this is a facial mist that you're supposed to use to help prevent breakouts and irritation and potential eczema flare-ups on the skin. It's a facial mist that actually includes an ingredient called hypochlorous acid. Now, you've probably heard about this ingredient. It was like all the rage on social media like a year ago. A lot of, especially dermfluencers, were talking about how this is the ingredient that you need to be using in your skincare, like pre and post workout, especially to help prevent acne breakouts. But it's also just like a really great antibacterial ingredient. And if you suffer with a lot of like eczema flare-ups, rosacea, inflammatory conditions on the skin, this can be a beneficial ingredient. And it was one of those things where I saw a lot of people using this like for, as I mentioned, like kind of like a pre-post workout type of skincare product. And I was just like, is that really something that I need though? It just seems like something kind of extra. The hypochlorous acid ingredient sounds interesting, but I don't know. There's so many other antibacterial, anti-inflammatory ingredients that you can be using. And absolutely, I do think that that statement is true. But actually, testing this spray out specifically for sweaty events has been really beneficial because I will tell you, I don't know about you, but for me and my personal skin, sweat is the enemy. Honestly, anytime I have a sweaty event, so either I am like doing a run, I'm working out, maybe I am outside, maybe it's just summertime and it's hot and humid and I'm sweating. If I don't get that sweat off my skin as soon as I possibly can, like if the sweat dries down on my skin, I am in for some trouble. Sweat is definitely the culprit for my breakouts that I get sometimes on my back and on my chest. Definitely can contribute to some breakouts on my face, but I've also noticed that it can sometimes contribute to eczema flare-ups as well. Just sweat is actually very irritating to my sensitive skin. And even if I do, like if I sweat a ton, especially in the summer, I find that the heat and the sweat all on my face, even if I wash my face as quickly as possible, it doesn't necessarily lead to like a bacterial breakout, like, pimple, but I just feel like my skin is so raw and so sensitive and just so inflamed from being exposed to the sweat long term on my skin. You know what I mean? Like just sweat is the enemy. So I actually bought this facial mist in the summer, towards the end of the summer, and I used it a few times and I was like, I don't know. And then for whatever reason, it just did not make it into my skincare routine. And then recently I have really kind of like stepped it up with my fitness. I was like kind of hitting a plateau with my workouts and I was like, okay, I think I have to like switch things up. I need to do maybe some more cardio or maybe, do a little bit more like high intensity, like running or something. Like, you just got to switch it up. Your body gets used to things. So I've been doing more like runs and things like that, and definitely more sweat, right? Like you got to work harder, you're going to sweat a little bit harder. And I was noticing I was starting to get a little bit more congestion. My skin's been very clear over the last couple of months. I'm like, oh no, what's happening? It's like, it's the sweat. So I remembered this mist that I bought and then I never touched again. And I was like, why don't I just try spraying this on my face like before I start running? And then I started spraying it after I'd washed my face after a workout. After I washed my face and kind of patted dry, I would just put this on and then start the rest of my skincare routine. I would put in an additional hydrating toner and just whatever else I would use. But I really tried to build the habit of doing this pre-workout, but also post-workout as well. And I've noticed that the irritation from sweat, because I told you, if sweat's on my skin long enough, even washing right away, my skin just still feels a little iffy, for the rest of the day. I've noticed a lot less redness. I've noticed definitely less congestion and pimples as well. So I do believe that this ingredient is beneficial. I do want to mention though, I noticed some people are like using this like a hydrating toner. It's not very hydrating and it's really not formulated for that. You can use it however you want to, honestly, but it's probably not the best product as like a hydrating toner. This really is a mist that is meant to target bacteria and inflammation on the skin, and it really is for folks who are, like what I was saying, really sensitive to sweat. Maybe you do suffer with bacterial acne. Maybe you do get eczema flare-ups. Maybe you do have rosacea or any kind type of inflammatory skin condition. You might want to try something like this and just see if it doesn't cut down on your flare-ups or cut down on the amount of inflammation and redness, or just even that like raw sensitivity on the skin, because that's what I noticed using this. Let's talk about the Numbuzin number 9 NAD plus essence. So this is something that you've seen me using in a lot of my skincare routines, like in January and in February and in March as well. And my dedicated review did finally come out, because what was I telling you when I first started using it? I was like, hold on. I'm liking it so far, but I do want to use this as much as possible. I want to give it a really good, robust testing period. So I did actually finally get the review out. It was sponsored by the brand, so I want to let you know that. And I like to be very clear about that relationship. So I was very grateful they were able to sponsor the video. But I have been using the product for quite a while, and I was holding off naming it as a favorite. But I will say March is the month that it's going to be in the favorites category. You know, it is an interesting ingredient, NAD plus. This is one of those novel ingredients that we're going to see a lot more interest and attention and focus on in this next year or two, I think, especially as the retinol craze kind of starts to die down with trends, right? A word I don't love, because like skincare is not trendy. Like you just find what works and stick with it, right? It doesn't, I don't care what people are doing trending, right? But we are seeing this, right, in this space, that the excitement over retinol, it's kind of reached its peak, right? People are kind of sick of hearing, oh, you got to use retinol, right? And now people are trying to like look at some other ingredients that maybe aren't as aggressive, right? Or aren't as harsh on the skin. And so, yeah, PDRN, peptides are having, you know, a big comeback, right? We're seeing a lot of ingredients. And then this NAD plus, this is an ingredient that helps to support, it actually helps to support the processes that supply energy to your cells. And that's so important as you get older, because as I've been saying year after year after year with my channel, right? As you get older, 25 plus years old, everything in your body just starts to slow down a little bit year by year, right? Just your body's less efficient. And if you are over the age of 25, you're probably like, oh, I can't handle dairy the way that I used to, or like I can't drink the way that I used to, or can't have sugar, like I can't eat the things I used to be. Have you noticed that, right? Or it's like, oh, I can't pull all-nighters anymore. Like I need more rest than I used to when I was younger. It's the same thing that's happening with your skin. The stress that we put our bodies through, or that our bodies go through, right? It just becomes harder to manage. And I'm talking about a slow process that happens over decades. So if you are 25, please don't freak out, right? It happens slowly, but you will start to notice it eventually, right? And so it is important to support your cells at that level. So it's almost like a precursor type of ingredient to support all of the processes in our body that help to support healthy skin, that help to support youthful skin, firm skin, lifted skin, smooth, supple skin, right? So that's kind of where this ingredient lies. I call it cellular well aging, right? Because it really helps to support at that very, very base level in our cells. But this formula is not just about that ingredient. This is kind of like a little bit of everything. I'm gonna just kind of like put a little jambalaya together of ingredients. Antioxidants. There's actually a really big focus on antioxidants, which I always say feel unsexy, but are actually really crucial for the protection of the skin, because like I said, there's so much coming at our skin that's stressing it out, and our body's less efficient at handling it. Antioxidants are a line of defense for our skin and protecting those cells, right? And antioxidants help to cut down on damaging inflammation as well. There's a whole bunch of peptides in here, like 50 of them. And I counted to make sure that there was actually, anytime there's a claim like that, I'm like, I don't know. Are you gonna try to like play some like mind games with me about, no, there's 50 peptides in here. Do you need 50 peptides? It's a great question. Probably not, right? Because we've seen formulas where they use one peptide and it gives you results, right? Or they use like, two or three and you're like, whoa, blown away. So you don't necessarily need a bunch of peptides in order to get results. I definitely do think it gives them a marketing edge for sure, but that doesn't mean that the peptides in here aren't beneficial, or that may not give you benefits for the skin. Peptides do work in low concentrations, and that's just the fact. Like, that's just the truth, Ruth. I know people have a hard time with that. They want percentages, they want high numbers, and it's just like, yeah, peptides do work in like 0.00016%, and they can show benefits on it. It is possible for that. There's just so much going on in this formula. It can be kind of hard to like kind of pinpoint exactly like what should we be focusing on with this particular product. But I think what we should be focusing in on with this particular product is how it really makes your skin glow. And I think that's the benefit that I've noticed the most from testing it now for 3 months. It really supports very healthy skin, very lit from within, ate all my fruits and vegetables. I think it's because of the cellular support and the peptides and the antioxidants. And I didn't mention, but there's some barrier support in here too. How that all comes together to really help your skin look healthy. And then the texture is this really, I call it chewy dewy. And it's just really about skin that is so hydrated, so moisturized, really smooth, incredibly plump and bouncy. Because that's what this texture is, and that's what it gives your skin. It's hydrating, but it's also silky and creamy. It has this like cheese-like texture, mozzarella cheese, very bouncy type of texture. It's not sticky. It actually absorbs in very nicely, and it just gives you that, that bouncy, like I'm gonna bounce a quarter off of that cheekbone, That skin is so plump. It just makes your skin feel amazing, really plump, really soft, little bit like glossy and glowy at the top too. It's really, really lovely effect, but with constant use over time, it really does help to support that bright, healthy look. Is it firming? Because that's a big question, right? Because it's actually kind of alluded in the name. This is the NAD plus lifting sil essence, lifting, firming, right? Skin elasticity. And so, yeah, big question is, does it firm the skin? And that is a claim that they make with this. And I don't know. Quite honestly, that's the reason why I held out so long on the review and sharing some full thoughts on this product, because I wanted to see if it would firm my skin. And yeah, it had been about 3 months and I'm really still not sure. And I have to be honest with you. And I like to be very clear about this, because people will be like, oh, it's trash, it didn't firm your skin. It's like, okay, I'm in my mid 30s. There's definitely some firming that can take place with my skin for sure. And I have used some products last year that did actually give a firming effect to my skin. And so I did experience that with skincare. So it's not just, oh, you're so young and your skin is great and so you don't need these benefits. No, I can use a little bit, right? I can detect a little bit. And so I did with some other products. Now, I don't know if those other products gave me those types of results and therefore I could not get anything additional because I had already kind of optimized where I was at with topical skincare. Was I not able to get that type of result because of those other products? This is a huge question that we need to ask, right? Or is it just that the firming, you know what I mean? Like, maybe it maintained my firming results. If I hadn't used those products, I would have seen a bigger result. I don't really know. Let me put it this way, though. I don't think my skin is sagging. I think that it's actually feeling really chewy dewy, bouncy, right? And I think that it looks really good. So my judgment on that, I'm on the fence. You know what I mean? I actually, in my review of this essence, I also talked about the mask in this line that firms your skin, because it actually like helps to lift. The mask itself like tucks behind your ears, and then there's even a band to really sculpt your face. And so the bands are doing a lot of the work. But I would say if you really want to see that type of result, maybe look at the masks. Formulations like this I think are really good additional players, support players, boosters, essences, right? And I think that's firmly where this product lies. I think in how I'm using it, how it's shown me benefits. This is a booster. This is boosting my retinoid use. This is boosting my use when I'm using some of the LED devices, or like the Medicube device that I talked about last month, which I am still using. So it's all kind of playing together really nicely. Aestura Atobarrier 365 Hydro Essence. I finally tried this and I'm so excited. This was totally one of those skincare products I've had on my radar for years, quite honestly, but it was like one of those like missed connections. You know what I mean? I'm like, I missed you in the Yes Style cart. You were a 30-day plus before it would ship type of product, so I never actually bought you, but I miss you and I'd like to know you better. In January, I remember reading that Aestura was going to launch at Sephora in North America in February, and I was like waiting. I was like refreshing. As soon as February 1st came around, I was like, Aestura? Sephora, Aestura, are you there yet? Are you there yet? Are you there yet? And then finally the products showed up and I was so excited. So I decided to get the ones that I hadn't tried yet, because you know that I've used the Aestura Atobarrier 365 cream as well as the cream mist. And so I took the opportunity to pick up the serum as well as this hydro essence. And if you are curious, I did do a video review of all of the products that I got at Sephora. You can check that one out if you want to learn a little bit more about the brand and these particular products. But the hydro essence really stuck out to me. I was really excited about this, and this is definitely going to be that like hydrating and moisturizing step in my skincare routine once it starts to get warmer, because this is a really hydrating, really plump, almost gel cream like essence. You know, it does look like it would be kind of very thick and moisturizing, just sort of how it looks when you get it out of the bottle, but there's such a hydration factor to this. There's such a gel-like quality, a plumpness to this. I mean, it is called the hydro essence, hydro water, right? There is a cream element to it too, but the moisturization is actually really light, very airy. You just get a ton of hydration and plumpness, and then just that skin softening, skin conditioning effect at the top, and there's that kiss of moisture that's not greasy. You know, there's no oil here. It doesn't feel slippery and rich and like emollient and heavy. It's just that really light moisture, almost like rice products. You know, there's that very specific, very light, breathable, non-greasy moisture that rice brings to the skin. That's exactly how this feels. So it's it looks thicker than it feels on the skin, but it just delivers a lot of hydration and a nice balancing moisture on top too, with a really beautiful plump and smooth feel. I love it. So airy, so beautiful, and a really exciting release too. Yes, it's another Amore Pacific brand that is coming into Sephora. Amore Pacific has a deep tie with Sephora, but I still think that this is a good thing, because K-Beauty has just had a really hard time really putting down roots in the United States. I mean, physical roots, you know, right? Like everybody's obsessed with K-Beauty right now, but we're all, you know, we're not able to just like go down to the store and get a wide variety of K-Beauty. It's still very online only. It's still a lot of it is still very much overseas, right? And it is slowly changing, but I feel like it's slowly trickling in to the United States, so much slower than the trends seem to suggest, right? So it still needs like a deep physical presence in the United States. And so, you know, Aestura coming in, you know, more K-Beauty expanding at Sephora, I think is a good thing. I think Olive Young also announced that they are going to put a physical store somewhere in the United States. Hopefully that's successful, that they're able to expand, right? And so that we can get some more K-Beauty in the stores that we can go down and swatch and try if you're in the United States. We just don't have a lot of options right now, especially if you're not in a huge city like New York or LA, right? So anyways, I just feel like it's a good step forward. Like I'm feeling positive and excited about the future of K-Beauty in the United States. I think it's just gotten so big now that even the FDA trying to crack down on those sunscreens and the whole tariff, whatever, I just feel like that can't stop K-Beauty anymore. You know what I mean? So I hope that this is a sign of more K-Beauty being physically present in the United States. So let's talk about the self-care corner, because this is a segment that I do every single month in my monthly favorites videos where, you know, I share my favorite products, but then I will share in this segment a, you know, practice or a lesson that I've used during the month to help myself self-care journey. Because for me, skincare is absolutely self-care, right? That those pampering practices are so incredibly helpful for me being able to take care of myself. But those are just sort of like the beginning point of self-care. And as I've gotten deeper into my skincare journey, I have seen my self-care journey has actually evolved and grown from the skincare journey, right? You know that I'm a self-care advocate for deeper self-care. And so when I was thinking about it this month, I was like, I like the self-care corner, but quite honestly, I'm really wanting to like kind of rename this segment the inner glow. Because that's really what my self-care has brought to me, especially over the last year. I know a lot of you have felt that energy shift in me. There has been an energetic shift, and it has come from my self-care practices. It has helped me to glow even more from the inside out. So just going forward, I want to start talking about the inner glow. So let's talk about it, because what really helped me to glow from the inside out in March was not actually me adding anything into my life. You know what I mean? Not adding anything into my self-care practices. It was actually me taking things away. It was actually the absence of things. It was the white space. It was the silence that really benefited me this month, because I started to realize that, I am definitely a person who likes to go, go, go. I'm very productive. I talk fast. I walk fast. You know what I mean? I work fast. But I will say that I notice oftentimes when I have like a free moment, I'm constantly filling that free moment with doing something. And so what am I talking about? Like, okay, of course, any of us, when we have like a break in between work, we're like on our phone and like scrolling, right? Of course, that's a nice distraction. Of course, that's something that we're doing. I do it too. But I also find that like when I'm doing my skincare, or when I'm doing the dishes or cleaning the house, or I am walking my dog a couple of times a day, I'm always plugging into something. An audiobook, a podcast, music, right? I am constantly filling those spacious, silent moments in my life. I do have a meditation practice. I know I've talked about it quite a bit, where I do sit down almost every single day in silence. Really, sometimes I listen to music, but I really do try to lean into the silence in that moment. And I love it. And it's so beneficial to me. But there's just something when I'm not on my mat in meditation, silence is actually unnerving. And I was like, why is that? And I think it's because of anxiety. I think it's actually an anxiety coping mechanism when you're by yourself, or when you have a moment and when things are quiet and you're just like, nope, I don't like this. I am not comfortable. I can't sit with this silence. I can't sit with this spaciousness. There's a couple of reasons, right? Like I said, anxiety, I think for me is one of them. So I'm constantly plugging into something. But I also think that, like, obviously so many of us wrap up our self-worth in our productivity, right? Society tells us we're only worthy if we're producing, if we're working, right? Or if we're doing. And there's a lot of guilt around being, two different states, right? Doing, leaning in, working, right? Producing, and being, sitting back and just receiving, right? And being a little bit more passive even. And that's why so many people struggle with rest. That's why so many people struggle with the word lazy. They label everything. Oh, I don't do that because I'm lazy, right? Or I did that. I fell asleep on the couch because I'm lazy. It's like, not because you're lazy. It's just because you're out of the mode of doing, which we switch back and forth, right? We're human beings. Rest is okay. I started to recognize that pattern. I'm like, I'm not even hearing what I'm like, plugging into my ears. I'm not even hearing any of this. I'm not taking in any information from my audiobooks, or I'm not following the storyline anymore. I'm not really benefiting from this, but I'm just distracting myself. And there's just a lot of noise. It's just really noisy now, and I can't hear myself think. And actually, I think I want to hear myself think. And so I really challenged myself. It is hard because it's all here, right? It's all the podcasts, all the audiobooks, it's all on here. So I'm constantly grabbing this. I mean, when I'm doing my skincare, I'm constantly putting something on, and I'm just like, this would be a great time for you to just kind of like be putting on skincare and just let that spaciousness wash over you and that silence wash over you. And so I've been challenging myself to do that. And it's not been super easy. But I have noticed as I have been embracing this, the anxiety does quiet down eventually. And you know what actually starts to get louder is my intuition and my creativity. Because those are very quiet voices. If you ever get your best ideas in the shower, it's probably because it's one of the few places that's quiet for you. And that voice, those really good ideas or those really great revelations, you're like, oh, that's what that was about. Or, oh, you're in the shop. Oh, that's what today was about. It's because that voice is so quiet and the anxiety is so loud and all the distractions are even louder, right? So it's like you have to take away all those little layers to hear that tiny little voice inside. But if you give it enough space over time, it's easier to recognize it and it's easier to tap into it. And so that's what I've been noticing. I'm a lot more creative. I've just been getting ideas left, right, and center. So I wanted to share that with you because sometimes it's not always about doing, it's not always about adding, right? Sometimes it's actually about subtracting. And sometimes it's just about, going from the leaning in, doing process and actually shifting into sitting back, right? And just being. So now it's your turn. Share with me your favorite products from March or maybe a lesson or self-care practice that you used during this month. Let me know in the comments below. If you loved this video and you're not subscribed, but you're enjoying this vibe of skincare and self-care and inner glow, please, I'd be so honored if you would hit subscribe and come join our skincare community. Turn on notifications so you're never out of the loop. I'm very active here on YouTube every single week. I love you so much. Thanks for being here with me today. This channel is not possible without your support, and I'm so incredibly grateful to you. Thank you so much. Please keep remembering to shine your light. I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye.